The unexpected target. The observation chamber of the Galactic Council floated in the neutral zone between star systems, a massive crystalline structure that had witnessed 10,000 years of diplomatic history. Today, the chamber buzzed with an unusual energy as delegates from across the galaxy gathered for an emergency session. Commander Telera of the VRYNN Federation adjusted her translation implant as she took her position among the assembled representatives. Her silver skin reflected the soft blue light of the chamber, and her 3 eyes scanned the room with growing concern. Something serious had brought them all here on such short notice. High Arbiter Quellen, a towering being composed of living crystal, activated the central holographic display. His voice resonated through the chamber like wind chimes in a storm. Council members, we have gathered because of disturbing intelligence from our monitoring stations in Sector 9. The Crithian Dominion has begun moving its war fleets. A collective murmur rippled through the assembled delegates. The Crithian Dominion had been the source of fear across the galaxy for nearly 2 millennia. Their empire had consumed 47 civilizations, each conquest adding to their growing power. They did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They simply took what they wanted. Delegate Morvas from the Silten Collective spoke up, his tentacles writhing with anxiety. Surely they would not dare break the Treaty of Andromeda Station. We have maintained peace for 3 cycles now. The treaty means nothing to them, replied Commander Telera quietly. It never did. They were simply waiting for the right moment. High Arbiter Quellen nodded gravely and expanded the holographic display. A star map appeared, showing the vast territories controlled by the Crithian Dominion. Red lines indicated fleet movements, all converging toward a single point in an unremarkable corner of the galaxy. Their target, Quellen announced, is a system the locals call Sol. The 3rd planet from their star is inhabited by a species that calls themselves humans. The chamber fell silent for a moment before several delegates began speaking at once. Commander Telera felt her heart sink. She had been monitoring Earth for the past 30 cycles as part of her duties in the Observation Corps. The humans were a young species, barely 5,000 cycles old in terms of recorded civilization. They had only just developed basic space travel within their own system. This is madness, declared Ambassador Vree of the Telonian Sphere. The humans possess no defenses against a Crithian assault. This will not be a conquest. It will be a massacre. Perhaps that is precisely the point, suggested Counselor Dran, a reptilian being whose species had long ago submitted to Crithian rule rather than face extinction. The Dominion wishes to send a message to the galaxy. They want us to remember what happens to those who might resist them. Commander Telera stood, her voice cutting through the debate. We cannot allow this. The humans are a protected developing species under Article 7 of the Preservation Accords. The Crithians care nothing for our accords, Quellen replied sadly. We all know this. Then we must act, Telera insisted. We must warn them at the very least. The chamber erupted in argument. Some delegates supported Telera's position, while others argued that interfering would only draw the Dominion's wrath upon the Council itself. For 3 hours, they debated as the Crithian fleet drew ever closer to Earth. Finally, High Arbiter Quellen raised his crystalline arms for silence. The Council has made its decision. We will not interfere. We will observe and document what occurs, as is our mandate. The humans must face their fate without our intervention. Commander Telera felt rage building within her, but she maintained her composure as the session was adjourned. She had not climbed to the ranks of the VRYNN military by being reckless, but she also had not survived 2 wars by following orders she knew were wrong. That night, working alone in her private quarters aboard her ship, Telera accessed the quantum communication array. What she was about to do would end her career at best, and possibly cost her life at worst. But she had studied the humans extensively over the past cycles. She had watched them overcome diseases, natural disasters, and their own tendency towards self-destruction. Something about them reminded her of her own people's history, back before they had reached for the stars. She crafted a simple message in the primary languages of Earth, encoded with enough technical data that any competent human scientist would recognize it as genuine. The message was brief. Hostile force approaching your system. Size, approximately 400 warships. Intent, complete conquest. Time until arrival, 14 of your days. Prepare yourselves. She transmitted the message through 7 relay stations to disguise its origin, then destroyed all evidence of what she had done. As she prepared for sleep, she wondered if the humans would even receive the message in time. And if they did, what could they possibly do against the Crithian Dominion? Across the galaxy, on the blue and green world called Earth, the message arrived at a military installation hidden deep beneath a mountain range. The signal was picked up by satellite arrays that officially did not exist, operated by personnel who were not listed on any government roster. General Marcus Webb stood in the command center designated Site Omega, watching as a decoded message appeared on multiple screens. Around him, analysts from 15 different nations worked frantically to verify the transmission's authenticity. Within 6 hours, they had their answer. The message was genuine. Webb activated the secure line to the Global Defense Initiative, a secret organization that had been formed 75 years earlier after a series of unexplained incidents that military leaders across Earth had agreed were of extraterrestrial origin. For decades, they had been preparing for this exact scenario, even as the public remained blissfully unaware that humanity was not alone in the universe. Condition nightfall, Webb said simply. This is not a drill. Those 3 words activated protocols that had been refined and practiced for generations. Around the world, hidden facilities came to life. In underwater bases, orbital platforms disguised as satellites, and hollowed-out asteroids in the belt beyond Mars, weapon systems that represented humanity's greatest secrets began powering up. Dr. Sarah Chun, Director of Advanced Projects, joined Webb in the command center. Her reputation as Earth's leading physicist in theoretical applications had earned her the position, though few people knew the true nature of her work. "How long do we have?" she asked. 14 days, according to the message, less if they accelerate. Chun pulled up a holographic display, showing the status of their defensive network. The orbital platforms are at 92% readiness. The asteroid installations are fully operational. The fleet, will they be enough? Webb interrupted. Chun met his eyes steadily. "General, we have spent 75 years reverse engineering technology from every crash site, every encounter, every piece of alien material we could acquire. We have taken their science and combined it with human innovation. We have built weapons that no alien species has ever imagined because they lack our particular brand of creativity born from millennia of warfare among ourselves." She expanded the display to show ships that were hidden throughout the solar system, vessels that looked nothing like the crude rockets that were shown to the public. These were sleek, deadly machines that incorporated technology from a dozen different alien sources, improved and adapted by human engineers who had been told that the survival of their species depended on their work. "Whether it will be enough," Chin continued, "depends entirely on whether our enemies are as arrogant as every report suggests. If they underestimate us, we have a chance. If they do not—" She did not need to finish the thought. Webb nodded slowly. "Then we make certain they underestimate us right up until the moment we strike. Get me the president on the line. It is time to read everyone into the program." For the next 2 weeks, Earth prepared for war in secret. The public knew nothing of what was coming. They went about their daily lives, unaware that above them, beneath them, and around them, the greatest military mobilization in human history was taking place. In orbit, platforms that had been disguised as space debris for decades were activated and armed. In the asteroid belt, mining facilities that were actually weapons platforms received their final targeting parameters. And throughout the solar system, the Earth defense fleet emerged from hiding places that had concealed them for years. The ships were magnificent, each one a testimony to human determination. The flagship, designated Indomitable, measured 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that could tear apart mountains. Surrounding it were 347 additional vessels, ranging from massive battleships to small, fast attack craft. But the fleet was only part of Earth's defense. Dr. Chin had insisted that they needed more than conventional weapons, no matter how advanced. She had led a team that developed something the aliens had never encountered because it required a particular kind of reckless innovation that only humans seemed to possess. They had weaponized artificial intelligence. Not simple targeting computers or automated systems, but true artificial intelligence that could think, learn, and adapt in real time. The AI systems, designated Athena Protocol, were installed throughout the defense network. They would coordinate every aspect of Earth's defense with a speed and precision that no biological mind could match. On the 13th day, long-range sensors detected the Crythian fleet entering the outer solar system. They came in tight formation, 412 warships arranged in a pattern that spoke of total confidence. They had done this dozens of times before. To them, this was routine. General Webb watched the fleet approach on the tactical display. Status of all defensive systems? All platforms green, all fleet units ready. Athena Protocol active and running predictive scenarios, reported as tactical officer. Good. Now comes the hardest part. Sir, Webb smiled grimly. Now we wait. We let them get close. We let them think they have already won. And then we teach them why you should never underestimate humanity. The galaxy watches in disbelief. Supreme Commander Voketh of the Crythian Dominion stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conqueror, observing the primitive blue planet growing larger on his view screen. In his 4 centuries of military service, he had overseen the conquest of 12 worlds. This would be his 13th, and by far the easiest. His tactical officer approached with initial scan results. Commander, the planet shows minimal technological development. We detect some orbital structures, but they appear to be simple satellites and research stations. No weapons platforms, no defense grid, no battle fleet. Voketha's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. As expected, these humans have barely left their own atmosphere. They will surrender quickly once they understand the futility of resistance. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships maintain formation. We will establish orbital dominance, then begin the subjugation protocols. I want the human population centers identified and ready for bombardment should they prove foolish enough to resist. What Voketh did not know was that every word he spoke was being intercepted, translated, and analyzed by the Athena Protocol. The artificial intelligence had been listening to Crythian communications for the past 6 hours, learning their language, understanding their tactics, and identifying the weaknesses in their formation. In the command center at Site Omega, General Webb watched the enemy fleet advance with careful attention. They were moving exactly as Dr. Chen's predictive models had suggested, arrogant, confident, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. Athena, status report, Webb requested. The AI's voice responded, calm and precise. Enemy fleet composition analyzed. 412 vessels divided into 3 battle groups. Flagship identified. Command structure mapped. Optimal strike pattern calculated. Probability of successful first strike, 87.3%. Weapon status? All orbital platforms charged and ready. Fleet weapon systems online. Asteroid installations locked on assigned targets. We are ready, General. Webb took a deep breath. Everything humanity had worked toward for 75 years came down to the next few minutes. All units, this is Webb, execute Operation Thunderstrike on my mark. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council's observation chamber, Commander Tellera sat with dozens of other delegates, watching the events unfold through long-range scanners. The mood was somber. Many expected to witness the extinction of an entire species. High Arbiter Quellen's voice was heavy with regret. The Crythian fleet has entered Earth's orbital space. The humans have made no response. Perhaps they do not even understand what is about to happen to them. Or perhaps they are simply paralyzed with fear, suggested Ambassador Vree. What could they possibly do against such overwhelming force? Tellera said nothing, but her 3 eyes remained fixed on the tactical display. Something felt wrong. The humans were too quiet. She had studied them long enough to know that silence was not their natural response to danger. Back on Earth system, Supreme Commander Voketh prepared to broadcast his conquest ultimatum to the planet below. But before he could activate the transmission, his sensor officer called out urgently, "Commander, I am detecting massive energy spikes throughout the system. Multiple locations, asteroid belt, outer planets, orbital space around Earth itself." "What kind of energy spikes?" Voketh demanded. Unknown, sir. The signatures do not match anything in our database. Wait, new contact appearing on sensors. Many contacts. Everywhere. Vulcus stared at his tactical display in disbelief as space around his fleet suddenly filled with new signatures. Ships appeared from behind asteroids, emerged from stealth fields, and rose from positions in low orbit around Earth. They had been there all along, invisible, waiting. Impossible, Vulcus whispered. The humans are not supposed to have interstellar vessels. His communications officer interrupted. Sir, incoming transmission from the planet. Audio and visual. Put it through. General Webb's face appeared on Vulcus' view screen. The human's expression was cold and determined. Commander Vulcus of the Crithian Dominion, this is General Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Initiative. You have entered our system with hostile intent. You have come here expecting to find a defenseless world. You were mistaken. Vulcus' mandibles spread in what his species considered a threatening display. Human, you are delusional. We are the Crithian Dominion. We have conquered worlds beyond counting. Whatever primitive weapons you have assembled will not save you. We shall see, Webb replied calmly. You have 30 seconds to begin retreat procedures, or we will demonstrate exactly how primitive we are not. Vulcus cut the transmission with a gesture of contempt. All ships, weapons free. Destroy their pathetic fleet. Show them the price of defiance. The Crithian warships opened fire, unleashing a devastating barrage of plasma weapons and missile barges toward the human vessels. For a moment, space lit up with the fury of their attack. But then something extraordinary happened. The human ships did not scatter or try to evade. Instead, shimmering energy barriers appeared around each vessel, absorbing the Crithian weapons' fire with barely a flicker. Advanced shield technology, far beyond what the Crithians had ever encountered, protected every human ship, shields holding at 98%. Athena reported to Webb. Enemy weapons are less effective than predicted. Recalculating threat assessment downward. Return fire, Webb ordered. All units, execute strike pattern Delta 7. What happened next will be analyzed by military historians across the galaxy for generations to come. The Earth Defense Fleet did not simply fight back. They demonstrated a level of tactical coordination and technological superiority that shocked everyone watching. The human ships moved with impossible agility, their drives allowing them to accelerate and maneuver in ways that defied Crithian understanding of physics. They weaved through the enemy formation like predators among prey, their weapons finding weaknesses in Crithian shields and armor with surgical precision. But the ships were only part of the assault. From hidden platforms throughout the solar system, humanity unleashed weapons that the galaxy had never seen. Railguns accelerated projectiles to a significant fraction of light speed, punching through Crithian vessels like they were made of paper. Directed energy weapons, powered by fusion reactors that humanity had perfected in secret, carved through enemy formations with devastating efficiency. And then there were the autonomous drones. Thousands of them, each controlled by fragments of the Athena protocol, swarmed around Crithian ships like angry insects. They were too small and too numerous to target effectively, and each one carried enough explosive power to cripple a warship's critical systems. Supreme Commander Vulcus watched in horror as his fleet began to disintegrate around him. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being destroyed by weapons they could not predict or counter. The humans fought with a ferocity and innovation that spoke of a species that had spent its entire existence learning how to kill efficiently. All ships, retreat formation Beta 9. Vulcus ordered, we need to regroup and reassess. But the humans had anticipated this. As the Crithian fleet tried to pull back and form defensive positions, they found their escape routes blocked by mines that had been quietly deployed throughout the battle space. Mines that used the same stealth technology as the human fleet, invisible until it was too late. Explosions rippled through the Crithian rear guard as ship after ship triggered the mines. The proud formation that had entered Earth's system just an hour earlier was now a chaotic mess of damaged vessels and debris. In the Galactic Council's observation chamber, stunned silence had given way to frantic activity. Delegates from dozens of species stood at their stations, unable to believe what they were witnessing. This cannot be happening, Ambassador Vree said, his voice barely above a whisper. The humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to have no advanced technology. Commander Telera allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps we should have paid more attention to human history. They have been fighting wars among themselves for their entire existence. They have spent millennia perfecting the art of combat. We saw a primitive species. We should have seen warriors. High Arbiter Quellen's crystalline form resonated with a deep tone of shock. The Crithian Dominion is losing against humans. This will change everything. On Earth's command center, Dr. Chin monitored the battle's progress with satisfaction. Athena Protocol is performing beyond expectations. The AI is adapting to Crithian tactics faster than they can adjust. Our casualties are minimal. Theirs are catastrophic. How many have we destroyed? Webb asked. 147 confirmed kills. Another 90 vessels with critical damage. The remaining ships are attempting to retreat, but our minefields are making that difficult. Webb nodded. Open a channel to their flagship. Once again, his face appeared on Vokatha's view screen. But this time, the Crithian commander's mandibles were clenched in rage and fear. Commander Vokath, this is your final warning. Surrender your remaining vessels, and you will be allowed to leave our system with your lives. Continue to fight, and we will destroy every last ship in your fleet. Vokath wanted to refuse. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to keep fighting, to salvage some pride from this disaster. But he was also a practical military commander who understood when a battle was truly lost. How? He asked simply. How do you have this technology? You're supposed to be a young species, barely capable of spaceflight. Webb's expression remained neutral. We have been preparing for this day since before you were born. Commander, every time an alien vessel crashed on our world, we studied it. Every time we detected signals from space, we learned from them. We spent 75 years building this defense because we knew that eventually someone would come for us. We decided that when they did, they would regret it. He leaned forward slightly. You came here expecting to conquer a primitive world. Instead, you found a species that has been at war with itself for 10,000 years. We know how to fight. Commander, it is what we do best. The only question now is whether you are smart enough to surrender before we are forced to eliminate you entirely. Supreme Commander Vokath looked around his bridge at the damaged systems and injured crew members. He looked at his tactical display, showing the ruins of his once mighty fleet, and he made the hardest decision of his military career. We surrender, he said quietly. I order all Crithian vessels to stand down and await instructions from human forces. The battle for Earth was over. It had lasted less than 3 hours. The Crithian Dominion, terror of the galaxy for 2,000 years, had been decisively defeated by a species that most galactic civilizations did not even know existed. As Crithian ships powered down their weapons and prepared to be escorted out of the solar system, the implications of what had just happened began to ripple across the galaxy. In the Council Observation Chamber, delegates from hundreds of worlds realized that the balance of power had fundamentally shifted. Commander Telera stood before the assembled council members. I propose immediate amendment to the Galactic Registry. Humanity should be classified as a Tier 1 military power, and Earth should be granted full membership in the Galactic Council with all associated rights and protections. For the first time in Council history, the motion passed unanimously within minutes. High Arbiter Quellen addressed the Council. We must also establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth immediately. They have proven themselves not just capable of defending their world, but defeating one of the most powerful military forces in known space. We need them as allies, not enemies. Ambassador Vree added, more than that, we need to understand how they achieved this level of advancement so quickly. The technological leaps they have made should not be possible in such a short time. Telera spoke again. Perhaps that is the most important lesson from today. We underestimated humanity because we judged them by our own standards of development. We forgot that different species advance in different ways. Humans may be young in terms of space travel, but they are ancient in the art of warfare. They took our technology and improved upon it because they have spent their entire existence learning how to adapt, overcome, and survive. She looked at the image of Earth on the central display, that beautiful blue and green world that had just proven itself capable of reshaping galactic politics. We have spent millennia believing that we were the advanced civilizations, and that young species needed our guidance and protection. Today, we learn that sometimes the youngest species can teach the oldest ones new lessons. Earth has shown us that technological development is not just about how long you've been traveling between stars. It is about innovation, adaptability, and the will to survive against any threat. On Earth, General Webb stood on the observation deck of Site Omega, looking up at the stars. Scattered throughout the solar system, the Earth Defense Fleet was beginning its victory protocols, escorting damaged Crithian vessels to designated areas and securing the battlefield. Dr. Chen joined him, 2 cups of coffee in hand. She offered one to Webb, who accepted it gratefully. "We won," she said simply. "This time," Webb replied, "but there will be others. The galaxy knows we exist now. Some will want to be our friends. Others will see us as a threat. Then we will deal with them the same way we dealt with the Crithians. We will adapt, we will innovate, and we will survive. That is what humans do." Webb smiled slightly. "True enough. Though I imagine the next time someone threatens Earth, they will be a lot more careful about it." Across the globe, world leaders were being briefed on what had happened. The secret that had been kept for 75 years was about to be revealed to the general public. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and they had just fought and won their first interstellar war. In the coming weeks, there would be panic, celebration, confusion, and countless questions. But there would also be pride. Pride in what humanity had accomplished. Pride in the scientists and soldiers who were prepared for this day. And pride in knowing that when tested, humanity had proven itself worthy of standing among the stars. The Crithian Dominion would never recover from their defeat at Earth. Word spread quickly across the galaxy about how a young species had destroyed their invasion fleet. Worlds that had lived under Crithian oppression for centuries began to rebel, inspired by humanity's example. The empire that had lasted 2 millennia began to crumble within months. And in the center of it all, Earth stood as a new power in galactic affairs. They had announced their presence not with diplomacy or trade, but with an overwhelming demonstration that they would not be victims. They would not be conquered. They would not bow to anyone. Commander Telera, whose career had indeed ended after her unauthorized warning to Earth, watched the changes sweeping across the galaxy from her retirement home on a peaceful VRYNN colony world. She had lost everything, position, rank, honor, but she had no regrets. She had saved a species from extinction. More than that, she had helped introduce a force for change that the galaxy desperately needed. The old order of predators and prey, conquerors and conquered, was beginning to break down, and it had all started with one simple warning, sent to a blue world at the edge of known space. As she watched the news reports about Earth's formal acceptance into the Galactic Council, about the new technologies they were sharing, about the alliances they were forming, Telera felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. Hope that the galaxy might finally become a place where strength was measured not by how many worlds you could conquer, but by how many you could protect, where young species were not seen as prey, but as potential partners in building something better. And it had taken humanity, young, violent, innovative humanity, to teach them that lesson. On Earth, in the command center that had coordinated humanity's defense, a new message was being prepared. Not a warning this time, but an introduction. An introduction to a galaxy that was about to learn what it meant when humanity said, "We come in peace, but we are prepared for war." The message was simple, direct, and very human in its sentiment. To all civilizations across the galaxy, we are humanity. We have defended our home and earned our place among the stars. We seek friendship, cooperation, and mutual prosperity with all peaceful species. But let this day serve as a reminder to any who might threaten us or our allies. We are ready, we are capable, and we will never surrender. The galaxy had been watching in horror, expecting to witness Earth's destruction. Instead, they had witnessed the birth of a new power, one that would reshape the cosmic order for generations to come. And humanity, young humanity that had spent 10,000 years fighting itself, was finally ready to take its place among the stars, not as victims or supplicants, but as equals who had earned their seat through courage, innovation, and an unbreakable will to survive. The age of human space exploration had truly begun. That's how humanity rewrote the rules of galactic warfare. If this story gave you chills, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our next HFY adventure. Like and share to spread the word that humanity never backs down.